All right, everyone, welcome to Breslov, Efrat, and our dear host, Beis Medrash here, Charles. Baruch Hashem, thank you. He'll see the video. It's Hashem. And today is exciting because we're in Likutei Halachos and we're learning Hilchos Hashkamas HaBoker, and we're finishing up Halacha Dalet today, Mitzvah Hashem, and we're going to start with the Kadosh Baruch Hu's help, with Siyata D'Shmaya, always with Siyata D'Shmaya. So we were talking about last week, do you remember? We were talking about Yosef Zadik, and Yosef Zadik was with the dreams. He had two dreams. Remember, he had two dreams. One dream was they were being mamali the bundles, and then all the bundles went around Yosef's bundle, and they bowed to Yosef's bundle. And we said, why was that? Because all tzaddikim, whether they're big people, small people, they all rely on the tzaddik. And that's why their bundle, the sheaves, their sheaves, bundles that were from each one from the 11 brothers was around Yosef because they also need to gain from the tzaddik. They need to gain from the tzaddik as well. So now, since we were talking about that, today we're going to talk about the other dream. Right? Now this time he had the next dream was that we had 11 stars, right? And then we had the Shemesh and the Areach, and they all bowed down to me. So what does that mean? So look what he says, look what the Rebbe says now. So we understand this concept that the sun is radiating the light, generating the heat, and the moon is accepting from the sun. The moon has nothing on its own. It's nothing by itself. What it all has is, it has from whatever the sun is giving it. The same idea that we're learning, we keep talking about the Chachma Tato, the Chachma Ilah. So we have the Seichel Elyon and we have the Seichel Tachtai. Right? So the Shemesh will be in this example, the Seichel Elyon. The Areach, the moon, will be the Seichel Tachtai. Bechinas Harava Talmud, the same idea. You have a Rebbe and you have a Talmud. The Rebbe is like the Shemesh, right? The sun, he's giving, and the student is accepting, absorbing. That's the same idea. So we know that every time there's one of the beautiful things that Hashem did for us was that he didn't take, he took the tzaddikim and he spread the tzaddikim out in all the generations, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what he didn't do was, he didn't put all the tzaddikim in one generation, and then where would we be if they all lived in one time, right? If all the tzaddikim lived in one time, and they weren't spread out, they weren't tzaddikim in every single generation, where would we be? And that's what the pasuk says, V'zorach HaShemesh, the sun will shine, Uvah HaShemesh will settle, and then the next one will come up, and that's why we always have other tzaddikim, budding tzaddikim constantly to help us. Until it won't settle. Okay, and the same idea, this now he's using the same thing. The Areach is the Talmud, like I explained, and it's accepting the light from his Rebbe, like the Levana does from the Chama. Now he says, those are the 11, are the lower ones, that the tzaddikim are going out all the time to be mekarev them closer, to bring them closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to teach them the idea to have the aras upon them, to give them a little taste of the aras upon them, to give them a little taste of Shivisi Hashem L'Negdi Summit. Shehem nafshes kedoshis me'od, because they're very holy. Like you was teaching, David, before, that every yid has that chelik elikamin mal inside of them, That chelik elikavimal is something that comes from the highest place, that it was taken from the highest place. But it wasn't, it was covered over. It didn't shine yet. In other words, it's there, but it didn't manifest itself to show what it really can be. That's what it says. And it goes up like the 11 ketores the ketores is one of the most remarkable things that we have. The ketores is one of the most remarkable things that we have. And why is that? We know that the Medrash tells us that when Moshe Rabbeinu was up in Shemayim, and he went up to heaven to get the Torah from Hashem, so he met the Satan there, the Sitra Achra. And the Sitra Achra says, "What are you doing here?" He asked him, "What are you doing here?" So he says, I'm here to accept the Torah." So the Sitra Achra told him like this. He says, he said that I'm amazed that a human being is in Shemayim. Like, what human beings don't go to Shemayim. What is this? So the Sitra Achra said, "I want to give you a present. I want to give you a present." And what's the present? He says, the only thing that can ever stop me is the Ketores. In other words, Ketores can stop any the Malach HaMavos, the Sitra, anything in its tracks. He can't get past the fire of the Ketores. That was also a fire, right? That was also a fire. But it's an amazing thing. The Samani HaKetores, it's so beautiful when he brings us together to teach about the Jews and that Pintele Yid. Think about it. All the samanim, all these different spices, where do they come from? All different places. And they come from all different, and to get the spice out of whatever it came, to refine it, it's a whole process. It doesn't, I don't think, you don't get it right away and it's ready to use. You have to work with them. And maybe that's the reason why Rav Nosson is bringing this over here, because, and again, every single yid we have to work, has to work. It's a whole avodah to be megala the elikus in every single Jew. It doesn't just, you can't snap your finger and it's there. It's a life's avodah to do that. So that's why he says, like he said here, it starts out in the klipas, it starts out in the husks, and on through it being refined, then it can become the beautiful samani haketoros, the ketoros. And that's the 11. I love how Rav Nosson always does this. Okay, we're talking about 11 stars, and there was also 11 kaichavim. Now, how can we connect it to 11s? Beautiful, right?
11 stars and
11 spices. Yeah, it's connecting the 11 to the 11, right? Umatzdike arabim kakeichavim. The Navi Daniel says, "They're right, and I'll make righteous the multitude like the kaichavim, like the stars." Right? What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? He took out from Avinu, and he took him up over, and he looked down. He told him to look down and to see the stars. Unbelievable. And Hashem asked him, "Could you count the stars?" He said, "No." He said, "That's how your children are going to be." Amazing. And they're all going to bow to me. This is because we all have to understand that our way to Hashem, the way to understand the Rebbeinu Shalom is only through the tzaddikim. If we don't have the tzaddikim, how will we understand anything of Torah? We needed Moshe Rabbeinu to teach us the Torah. We needed the Anshe Knesset Gedolah. We needed everyone to give us everything that we have today. We needed tzaddikim. If not, how would we understand anything? Because the great tzaddikim, they draw down this great lofty concepts. Everyone, even the big people that understand a lot, but they need another tzaddik. They need someone to teach them. They need someone higher. They always need someone. And of course, the lower people, of course, they need to get close to a tzaddik. They need to be brought closer.
How did we lose the concept of the tzaddik?
What do you mean?
I mean, it's so hard. I'll speak for myself. I'm trying very hard to grasp it. To really
So we
grasp
say
the
every
fact.
day. So we say every day in the Shemona Esrei 3 times a day. Allah tzaddikim, Allah chasidim, Allah ziknei yam beisol, Allah place of right. We're talking about the tzaddikim, and even in the Shemona Esrei, the Hanshek Nesken, when they made the Shemona Esrei, they wanted us to remember Mishal Vivnachlat Tzaddikim. We have to remember our tzaddikim. It's all about the tzaddikim, right? It's in the basic text of our Shemona Esrei.
When we take the Torah out, we say they believe in Hashem and they believed in Moshe.
Moshe Avdai.
Yeah.
Vayaminu b'Hashem uva Moshe Avdai.
So why don't I get this? I'm trying.
Well, okay. So
I
I'll
will,
tell you.
I will.
So I'll tell you 1 second. So it's interesting you mentioned that. There's an amazing klayakar to understand this concept. You just reminded me of it, of this concept of Vayaminu b'Hashem uva Moshe Avdai. Why is it only at that time, by Kriyas Yamsuf, did Klal Yisrael Vayaminu b'Hashem uva Moshe Avdai? We say these words every day. So the Klal Yakar asked the question, what happened? Why did we have to proclaim at that time Vayaminu b'Hashem uva Moshe Avdai? What was the point of the proclamation at that time? So he said that the Klal Yakar brings that everything is an example from in Shemayim as it is down here. Everything's there's a mashal for the nimshal. So all the Makis HaKadosh Baruch the Mitzrayim would say Etzba Elikimhi, right? Etzba. So Moshe Rabbeinu used this stick every time with all the Makis. Moshe Rabbeinu had his mata. He had this beautiful, that wonderful, amazing stick, and he used that stick to do the makkah, right? The stick, it says the Klal Yakar, is compared to the finger of our Kadosh Baruch Hu. When it came to, and he said there were always these scoffers in Klal Yisrael. They always were saying that Moshe's great, but because he has that stick. Oh, that's that stick. I mean, if I would have the stick, maybe I would do all these things also. It's that magic stick. It's the magic stick. Oh, so what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu say now? Think about this. We were at the foot of the Yamsuf, right? We couldn't go in the water. We had the Mitzrayim running, chasing after us with all their might, with all of their they had vengeance. They wanted to get us, and all eyes are on Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay, what are you going to do now? So what does Hashem tell him to do? Put your stick down, right? Put your stick down. So Moshe Rabbeinu puts his sticks down, and what did he have to pick up his hands? Right? Put your stick down, pick up your hands. So everyone's watching now. Wait a second. Moshe Rabbeinu put the stick down. I was thinking this whole time it was all about the stick. But now I see he put the stick down. So there's something with Moshe himself. He puts up his, and then the Yamsuf splits. So when they saw that, they were able to say, Vayaminu b'Hashem uva Moshe Avdai. Now we can believe Taka in the greatness of the tzaddik.
It wasn't the stick.
It wasn't the stick. It wasn't the stick. Because it says, the Klal Yakar goes on to say, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this. Es hayad hagedol asher osa Hashem. We say es hayad hagedol, the yad, right? By the Yamsuf, it was the yad hagedol. It wasn't the etzba, right? Can you say those words, right? You just said that before, Yossi, right? Es hayad, etzba's a finger.
Oh,
the finger. The finger is like a stick. The finger is like a stick. But when it came to the Yamsuf, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, es hayad hagedol asher osa. So it's the Yanag. So again, Moshe Rabbeinu had to, so to say, emulate what HaKadosh Baruch Hu was doing on high. He did down here, and that's why he used his hands. So you see this concept of the tzaddik.
So good.
Yeah.
So David's question. Okay, that works great for Moshe Rabbeinu.
Right. Okay.
But what does that have to do with? Okay, that was that. And what do you do with me now? How do you get from Moshe Rabbeinu to?
Okay, so every tzaddik that teaches us Torah, anytime we're learning something, it's an aspect of Moshe Rabbeinu. Every Tana, every Amora, every Rishon, every Achron that taught us Torah is in a continuation of Moshe Rabbeinu, isn't it? It's his Torah. It's Moshe. It's Torah's Moshe. We're all trying to understand Torah's Moshe, right? It's not called Torah's Hashem. It's called Torah's Moshe, right? Right, but it's Torah's Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu gave us the Torah. Isn't it? No, this Torah's Moshe? What? It's Moshe Rabbeinu gave us the Torah. Of course, it was through the Hashem, naturally. But that's the whole thing. We have to always constantly have a connection to the Tzaddik. He's going to help us. If we don't have a connection to the Tzaddik, how are we going to have a connection to Hashem? How are we going to find Hashem? How do we find Hashem in this messed up world, with all of the mixed up messages that we're getting from everywhere?
Yeah.
There's all these mixed up messages. If we don't have something grounded to give us to keep us connected to Hashem, how are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? How are we going to stay besimcha? Otherwise, we'll be all worried. Right?
I think I figured out the root of how I got cut off.
So share.
Because the well-meaning but kind of ignorant Jews who taught me younger, all they wanted to do was keep me away from Yeshka.
Right. Okay.
So they impounded in my psyche, we don't need a middleman.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how.
Okay,
That's how
okay.
Christiology. That's been the Jewish reaction. Not knowledgeable Jews.
Okay,
Not Torah
okay.
Jews, but non-Torah Jews. All they hung on to was we don't need a middleman. No yes.
But wait a second. But if you think about it, in the time of the Baal Shem HaKadosh, and it came with the what do you call it? With the Vilna Gaon.
Yeah.
So the way of the Vilna Gaon, because of Shapsai Tzviya Machshamam V'Zichron.
He emphasized
right?
it. He emphasized this.
Right.
No middleman, basically.
Right. So the Vilna Gaon said that. The Vilna Gaon taught that,
Right.
and that's why there was that whole opposition for the Baal Shem HaKadosh at that time because of Shapsai Tzvi.
Yeah.
So Rav Nosson is trying to let us understand over here that really we do need to have a connection to the tzaddikim, and we do have to believe in the tzaddikim, because ultimately if not take that bracha out of Shmona Esrei. Why do we say we have to believe in the tzaddikim in the Shmona Esrei? Why is it in there?
You know, the edict of the Gra actually fed the Reformation in some ways.
Yes, of course. Because there was opposition, made it more interesting.
Right.
Every time there's a little opposition, it'll make it more interesting to people to look into it.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well,
Of course. Okay, I don't know how we got off that to that
No,
shit,
because of
but
me,
that was
so-
great. Okay.
We're asking to understand the concept of the tzaddik.
Right. No. It's wonderful. Did that help? Did this help?
it definitely helps. I just got a lot of repair work to do.
Okay.
A lot of repair work.
We all have a lot of repair work to
It
do.
sounds very easy. I mean, it's okay, great. It sounds like okay, go to the Zadik, connect yourself with Zadik, make it his problem, let him do the work. Like it sounds, but
What do you mean? Let him do the work. He'll. The
That's what he does.
tzaddik. No. So we go to the tzaddik, and the tzaddik puts us on the right path. What was Rabbi Katz talking about yesterday? When you go to the tzaddik, what was he saying? He understands your neshama. Isn't that what he was trying to say yesterday? He understands your neshama. We don't necessarily. We have a neshama. Hashem gave us this neshama, right? So we don't understand necessarily what the neshama is. How do I know what I need to do? How do I know what my mission is in this world? How am I going to know? So the tzaddikim taught us, of course, anytime you have something, how do we know what our tafkid is in life? The best way to understand it is anything that challenges us the most in Yiddishkeit, that is what we have to work on. And that's why it's challenging us, and each one of us has different challenges. Right, one has challenges with tzedakah, one with kas, one with this, one. Everyone has different problems. And then the Baal Shem taught us that whatever seems to be flaring up the most at you, that's really what your tafkid is to fix in the world. But how would I know that otherwise? Right? Psychology says if you feel like this, so then go with it. Right? They tell you that. Right? Sigmund Freud said that. Right?
Your great uncle.
Yeah, okay, but listen, I'm sorry, that's why I'm telling you, we need the tzaddikim, don't you understand? It's not, hey, if it feels right to just go, it's the other way around. It's the other way around. I have to, of course, when I'm doing Torah and mitzvahs, if it feels right, that's wonderful. But if I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing, I have to stop doing that. But we need the tzaddikim for that.
Since we're so off topic, anyway, can
Yeah.
I say something?
Please, no.
We're already out there. There's the famous psychologist Jung, right? You heard of Jung?
No.
Jung.
He was a
Swedish,
contemporary.
right?
He was
Switzerland?
he was a contemporary.
Swiss or
Carl
Swedish?
Jung.
Carl
Carl
Jung.
Jung.
He was a student, contemporary
Okay.
of Sigmund Freud, but he saw much more the importance of religion, and that way he went away from Sigmund Freud.
Okay.
But still one of the great psychologists. So
Okay,
we don't
okay.
think about the great psychologists in general, but you should know that Carl Jung. You look it up right after we have it.
Jung.
Jung. When he I think it was close to the time of his death that he said, all of everything that I've moved forward in the world of psychology, everything I really know was preempted by the one they call the Maggid of Mezrich.
Oh, you see that?
Wow.
Yeah, you see that? You see that?
Or the great Maggid of Mezrich.
That's the truth. But this is the truth. Okay, so that's okay. Thank you for sharing that. No, I didn't know
Look it
that.
up. Look it up afterwards.
That's wonderful.
Look up Carl Jung and the Maggid, and you'll see the quote.
It's wonderful. That's really wonderful.
Yeah, or the great Baruch of Mezrich, he said, or something like that.
Wow. No, and I'll tell you another one. You know, that I remember seeing. I read a story with Rav Kook that in Albert Einstein went to visit and had a meeting with Rav Kook in his little office.
When he came to the university, maybe.
He came. No, he actually met it. Albert Einstein went into Rav Kook's little closet over there. His little unbelievable. I would stand there, just stand by that room and just do my this over there. It's unbelievable. In that room, what went on in that room, unbelievable. But they said that the reporters asked Albert Einstein when he left, "What did you think of your meeting with the rabbi?" He said that, "I've never met anyone that understands the theory of relativity on a higher level than I do." That he was able to teach me of theory further on the theory of relativity. For Rav Kook never went to university. It was all Chachmas HaTorah.
Right.
So that's what we need the tzaddikim to teach us. That's what it's all about. And that's why Rav Nosson is trying to drill it into us. Right?
Keep drilling.
Keep drilling, right? Okay, all right, let's go. Because the great tzaddikim can draw this great seichel. I'll read it again. Until all the great ones, the ones that are close to Hashem already, but they want to gain more. And those that are distant, that want to, that's the whole point here, that want to come back. Anyone that wants to come back, that wants to listen to the tzaddik. And we spoke about that tzaddik uses all the different tachbulos, he uses the different strategies, remember, of how he's going to get to them, how he's going to connect to them. Kulam tzrichen lekaveh menu, ki kvar mevoy aleh, shegam ba'atzimtzum ba'atzmo. Yesh b'china seichel elyon v'seichel tachtay. Even when it comes to that tzimtzum, right? So again, there's so many layers in the tzimtzum of chachma elyon, chachma tat. It's all in there. Ki yesh b'hem kama v'kama dregesh v'yesh b'hem b'chinas rav v'talmud shemesh v'yerech. It's all in there. When the tzaddik speaks, and again, I told you, and I'll say it one more time, it's unbelievable. Over the years, when I was listening to Rabbi Weinberger, I'm a student of Rabbi Weinberger's for 25 years, and over the years, when I first started listening to him, I understood what he was saying on a very basic level. But then as I start to listen, I listened again to those things, and I see what he had in there. The message that he had in there, they just go right over you. He says things, but they just float over you. You know, it doesn't resonate. It doesn't resonate. But as you understand, there's so much chachma, ilah, and tata in the words, in the tzimtzah, in their explanations. V'kulam tzrichim la'achniya, and each one has to lower themselves. L'shtachves l'zbata l'fnei atzadik agadol b'yosef b'chinas Yosef. The idea of the tzaddik of Yosef, and that's why the when it came to When it came to the bundles bowed down, and when it came to the 11 stars and the Shemesh and the Areach, they also bowed down to Yosef HaTzadik, because it doesn't matter whether you're a great tzaddik, you still need to have someone to look out to look up to, someone to make a asay l'charav, right? It said it's one of the dinim that we have to do. We have to have a rav. So everyone has to have a rav. Everyone needs to have a rav. So they was going to say, well, this guy, I'm the gadol adas, so I don't need a rav. No, he also needs a rav. Somebody will say to me, wait a second, but how can the gadol adar have a rav if the rav that he's going to get doesn't know nearly as much as he knows, right? How is he going to be the rav? So the answer is that we understand that every time that tzaddikim have a special siyata d'shmaya, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives them a special understanding, a discernment, and because they have that, they can give over what they need. Look at the way Hasidus works in general, right? Think about it. In Hasidus, when the dynasty worked, if the Rebbe would pass away, his son would take over, right? That's the way normally it was done. But let me ask you a question. Sometimes the Rebbe would pass away and there would be a young man that would be 14, 15 years old. Now he's the Rebbe. But wait a second, there may have been a lot of guys in the Hasidus that were much, much better learned and knew much, much, much more than him. So how did he become the Rebbe? Right? So the answer is because he became the Rebbe, he gets a new special understanding of how to deal with the people, not because of what he knows, because that's the position he was put into. Because of the position. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives leaders, true leaders that are looking to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, gives them a special discernment, a special understanding. I mean, look even when the Lubavitcher Rebbe became Rebbe, right? Let's think about it over there, the modern time, right? So there were many other Chabadniks at that time that knew a lot more than he knew at the time. They were the great people, but they said, "Okay, he's the Rebbe," and they listened to him. That was it. He's in charge. He's in charge. Lahavdil bein elef havdalos, what they did in London now, right? Lahavdil bein elef havdalos, right? This doodlehead, which was now he's the king.
Long live the king.
Long live the king! Long live the king! Wow, unbelievable! But you see, it's true, right? I mean, this is the way it works in the world. Why did Hashem show us that? Why do we have to see now the queen dies and we have to see this guy becomes the king? For what? So we see how these things work. It's unbelievable. It Hashem, Mashiach's going to come. Can you imagine what that's going to be? Melech HaMashiach. What the world will say then, right? Now the trumpets.
To give us like little shemets of like royalty.
Of what it's really supposed to be. Yeah. Unbelievable, right? An understanding of the coronation. Talk about the coronation of the king. The coronation of the Breslov, Hamelach on Rosh Hashanah. Unbelievable. Anyway, okay. Kihu machnis hasagas elikus b'kulam, because he is able to bring hasagas elikus into every single yid, into everyone, and that's what the whole point is, tzaddikim, and that's why we have to be connected to the tzaddikim, or else how would we ever learn? How would we understand that when we have to get up before chatzos? And then by chatzos we have to get up, and then we have to do tikkun chatzos. And what we're doing, we're going to get the aras hapanim through that, and how we connected the aras hapanim. Just to go through the chapter, how we're going to go through, how we're going to get the aras hapanim through that. And what's the aras hapanim? So the aras hapanim was the Beis Hamikdash, right? There was Beis Hamikdash, and what was the Beis Hamikdash? The Beis Hamikdash was where we were oila regel to go to the Beis Hamikdash, right? And then we said, well, for oila regel, we're already going with our feet. And then we said, well, with tefillin, excuse me, we forgot tefillin. Tefillin is the same idea. The whole idea is, what's the point in getting up in chatzos? Taking the din and holding the din in check. So right, so we said when we tie the tefillin on our arm, when we wrap it, we're taking the chesed of the tefillin, we're wrapping the din, and we're keeping the din in check. Then we talked about tying the shoe, tying the left one first, using the right hand and tying the left one, again, keeping the din in check. Then we spoke about going to the restroom, right? And we're leaving us, right? So we have to use the left hand and we don't use the right hand, right? Because again, the same idea. The right is the chesed. Right, that's the chesed. Okay, and then we said, then when we're talking about the regalim, the going with the thing, we said Chanukah and Purim. Right? Why Chanukah and Purim? Because Chanukah, then we brought in Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai was Pesach v'Hailech, Beis Hillel was Ma'aseh v'Hailech. Why was Beis Shammai Pesach v'Hailech? Because he said we don't want them. We don't want to include all of these people. We want to keep it for ourselves. We want to keep all of the beauty of Yiddishkeit to ourselves. We don't want them, so we'll just overwhelm them with this light on the 8th day, and we'll okay. And then Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel said, no, we'll give them a little bit, and we'll teach them a little bit, and we'll grow. They'll grow. They'll get better. And the same way. Then he said the example of the king, right? The king, if you want to come to the king, it's Rosh Hashanah, right? And you want to come to the king. And so you have to prepare yourself, and the better you prepare yourself, the more you'll be able to be brought you'll be able to be led into the king, so to say, right? Some will be in the court, get to the gate. Some will let them in the court, in the courtyard. Some will let them into the inner chamber, right? And so on and so on. But he said, but then don't forget that when the king, and that was the idea of Oile Rega, that we went up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But then HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw that in this great big chorus that we're going to have, it should end soon, very soon. We're gonna be lost. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us these two things, Chanukah and Purim. And the whole idea of Chanukah and Purim was to bring the light. The king comes to us. Because we said if someone from the king's family or someone from the king's constituents is not doing well, so the king goes to visit them, and that's why Kadosh Baruch Hu is visiting us on Chanukah and Purim, and it brings the Ar upon him into our homes, and that's what the light is. The idea of Purim, the idea of Chanukah. Bikur Cholim, right? The whole idea of what was Bikur Cholim, because again, it's by the head of the Hakadosh Baruch Hu brings the Ar upon him on the head of the sick person, right? Yeah. The idea, and that's why we have to use our feet to go to visit the Cholim, right? And then we're finished off over here. The two
poor person knocking on the door and wants to bring light to you. He says a poor person, ani.
Yes, the ani, and because when we knock, when the ani comes to us, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is giving us a present. That's a present for us, and we can give the Araspanim to the ani, and that's a bigger present that we said. Then okay, and then we finished up over here with the two things, with the two dreams, with the two dreams, the bundles and the stars. And what is that all to show that we really have to be always reliant on the tzaddikim to teach us, or else how will we know all of these concepts, and how will we know how they've been close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And I think that's where we'll end over here today.
And we're all to halacha hey.
And we're all to halacha hey. Okay.